Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us. I am so excited to be here today. This is a wonderful occasion to share with you real journeys, real stories of people who have gone through the ServiceNow Getting Started program, the Rise Up program, to really kickstart their careers. I'm joined today with Daniela and Teresa, and I'm going to let them tell you their stories. But first, some introductions. Daniela, if you would, let us know who you are.
Thanks, Chuck. My name is Daniela Gassis, and I'm currently living in Sydney, Australia. It's pretty good weather here, and I'm working with ServiceNow as a part of their program. So I'm employed with a recruitment agency called MEGT and working with alongside with a host employer called Thedera. And I'm currently being trained as an engagement manager. So that's currently my role that I'm playing at. And yeah, that's kind of all I can really say about me. A few of my hobbies, I would say, is I enjoy playing badminton. I have a wonderful puppy. His name is Oreo. So he's been using my time recently these holidays. And yeah, that's all for me. And Teresa?
Hi, my name's Teresa Coe. I'm also living in Sydney, Australia, and I work alongside Danny at Third Era, employed under MEGT. It's a partner for the NextGen program that we're both a part of. I am a mother of three in the middle of a career change. And so that's how I got started with ServiceNow. My two older kids are a lot older at the moment, so I don't have to worry too much about them. They're 20 and 18 years old already, but I do have a 9-year-old that I still have to run around after. Before ServiceNow, I was in customer service for about 20 odd years. And needed a change, but the first change was to become a restaurateur. But unfortunately, COVID put a quick end to that after about 4 years. So I found myself sort of, in a fortunate position to sort of think about what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. IT was something that I've always been really, really interested in, passionate about, and whichever job I had. So that was sort of the natural progression for me to get into the IT sector. But, being, as I said, it's a career change. I'm what we call a mature aged worker here in Australia. It was difficult thinking about going back to school at that point. And so I made a start by going to sort of what we call TAFE here, which is like community college, and looking for entry-level jobs into IT. And I found this traineeship for ServiceNow, and that's how I got started with it. That's it for me.
Well, Teresa, you mentioned you were in customer service. What sort of customer service were you doing, and how is that tied into what you've learned? What can you bring to the ServiceNow ecosystem with that?
Sure. So with the customer experience roles I had was mainly for contact centers. I worked in lots of different sectors, everything from fashion to technology to environmental waste. So it's, for me, customer experience is customer experience. The products may differ, but that's what I did for about 20 odd years. I started out as a customer service agent on the phones. And towards the end of that career, I was running contact centers and doing training and all that sort of stuff. I've been sent all over the world to train other contact centers and things like that. But I just needed a break from that. But with that experience, I've been able to sort of get really stuck into that side of things with ServiceNow, being able to put my skills to work as an engagement manager without having too much training. But at the same time, I'm learning sort of how the ecosystem works, and things like that, whilst trying to develop my development skills on ServiceNow.
All right. And Danny, what is your origin story, if we use a movie term here?
Well, for me, previously while I was in high school, I was working as a barista at a cafe. And when I graduated in 2021, I decided that, I think there's other pathways that are there for me. I didn't want to do uni. All my peers decided to either do, uni, college. But I really wanted some, hands-on experience for myself. I really wanted to get into the corporate world straight away. So for me, I had a friend who was actually already doing something similar. So he was doing an apprenticeship, and he recommended to me, you know what, how about you go ahead and try to search for something in your lane that is similar to an apprenticeship. So I did my research. I looked at different websites, and fortunately, I came across this program. Originally, actually, it was supposed to be for a different company, but I would say that I'm quite grateful that I did end up landing this program with ServiceNow, this NextGen. So it's been really great. The process for applying was actually really quick, and it's something that I didn't expect. It's not a program that's advertised greatly and broadly, so it's quite a hidden gem. And since then, it's been really enjoyable for me. Like Teresa, it's just a continuous process of growing and learning and improving your skills, and that's just what's been quite motivating throughout this process. So that's kind of my origin story and how I got into this program.
Now, when you say this program, are you talking about the NextGen program or something else?
Yes, correct. This NextGen program.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I know that Teresa, you also mentioned before we started recording that this is part of the NextGen program as well. So you've both
Correct.
been through the program. What was your, I'm going to go back to you real quick, Danny. What was your motivation? Was it that friend that kind of kicked you in the pants that said, hey, you should find something? How did you get your start on the ServiceNow platform?
My motivation was, I think I've always been interested in IT in the first place. It's quite an interesting career path. So I really wanted to explore my curiosity, and I want to see what I can do in this space. So him giving me that kickstart and the idea of searching for a similar style of getting to this career path and getting my foot into the door through this traineeship program, that was the first thing. But ServiceNow itself, this ecosystem is quite a motivating factor itself. It's really there's a lot to do here. There's so much opportunities, so much places to grow. So that itself is what's giving me the push, I would say.
Teresa, you said you've got 3 children. What, the oldest was 20 years old?
Yes.
You might want to think about getting him involved with this pretty soon too. He's going to need a steady job pretty quick.
Oh, I am so heartbroken that none of my children are interested in tech. It's because it's something that I've always been interested in, and I know sort of the prospects work-wise have always been really good. But my eldest, she's a girl. She is an artist, and a very, very good one. So she's not very technically inclined in that sense. So she doesn't want to do that. And my son is just finding his way now, the 18-year-old. So he likes computers and things, but more so just playing games rather than actually anything else on that platform. So yeah, as I said, I'm quite heartbroken that none of them want to follow in my footsteps on that, but that's okay. They can live their lives. I still have a 9-year-old, so.
Wow, you made it sound like there's still hope at the end of that rainbow.
There's still hope, yeah.
I hope the 9-year-old's not watching. No pressure, no pressure.
Yeah, well, the thing is, she loves her, little bits of technology now and things like that. And I try to get into it, but I don't have too much hope. There's a sliver of hope maybe, but since she's still 9, but she's more athletic. She's into her gymnastics, and she's very good at that as well. So
As a
I
parent,
don't think
your
too
best
much.
bet is expose them to many different things, whether it's music,
Yeah,
sports, or whatever. Let them choose and encourage them in whatever
definitely.
interests them. Now, we mentioned the NextGen program, and I should back up a little bit because that may be a new term for some of the viewers. That's our program to tied in with RiseUp, but it's really military people are a very popular community for this, and underserved communities that are trying to get into the ecosystem, a change of career. That's really the strong position for that. So I just wanted to define that in case anybody's scratching their head or Google searching it right now. Teresa, did you have any additional training on top of or prior to, or was that the suite that got the engine going?
So prior to this, everything was sort of self-taught, self-learning. That's just sort of how I drive and motivate myself, is by learning. I love to learn new things. And just with the jobs that I had in the past, because of, I started with a mobile phone company back in 2000. So the technology there that was just growing and growing and growing at that point was insane. And that's where sort of I started picking up that interest. But it was more so when I had to start doing lots of different reports and things like that. And this may not be a popular opinion, but I love Excel. I've always loved using that platform. That sort of just that little first step into things like, learning how to write macros and stuff like that, to automate things, make lives easier. And that's just always been something that I've always been interested in from that point on. From there, after the reporting and things like that, I got into sort of doing a bit of web development for some other companies, because they were smaller companies. Everyone wears, a few different hats, and taught myself, HTML, CSS, to be able to build. So the knowledge base was used internally and externally. So I was quite proud of that. And it's just something I've always played around with. Then when I owned my own businesses, restaurants and things like that, I played around with building the websites, ordering systems, and things like that. So that's why when I was in that position to go, okay, I can actually do anything I want to do now. What is it that I want to do? And it was quite quickly that it was determined that, yes, I should get into IT. And I did actually stumble on to ServiceNow. It wasn't a thought process to go, yes, that's what I want to do. I was just looking for entry-level jobs. That's what I typed into our job search website, and the traineeship came up, and two traineeships came up. One was for another platform, and one was for ServiceNow. The other platform's more well known, so I actually registered for that one, but then it was through the same training company, and they were like, well, do you want to go for this? And at that point I was like, anything will do. But I went through the interviews and everything, and that's how I got started with ServiceNow. But having done that now, I'm so thankful that I didn't get the other one, or I did actually go for the other one, because ever since I started with ServiceNow, everyone that I've told that is in the IT industry have gone, oh my God, that is such a good space to be. It is growing so quickly, it's so widespread, and having been in it, there's so much you can do. It's not just one thing. It's not just IT in the sense that all you're doing is coding and things like that. There's such a big world in ServiceNow for everybody. I just found that fantastic, and it was exactly what I was looking for at that point in my life, to go, this is my foot in the door. I can still bring the skills that I've honed for the past 2 decades to assist me along in this journey as well. And it was great, still great, and I'm looking forward to the future with ServiceNow for sure.
So it sounds like you're more slanted towards a technical career at this point. Danny, you said you were an engagement manager at this point, or you were?
So that's what I'm currently doing right now. Yeah.
Okay. So what So we've got a technical person, and an engagement manager is the person that lines up the resources, makes sure the project is on track, on time, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, good. I was in professional services many moons ago, so just want to make sure things haven't changed drastically in the last 8 years. So tell me a little bit about what resources you went through, because the NextGen program is really about getting the familiarity, getting the basics down for administration, a little light development. How has that applied to, or what additional resources have you used to do your current job? Because not everything has to be, I'm going to be a developer in this
Yeah.
space.
Yeah, you're correct. So for me, well, part of this program anyways, we're also doing college. So here in Sydney, we're doing TAFE. And so we're currently studying an IT course, but that also works alongside with the ServiceNow fundamentals. So a lot of our assessments are based on that, and different content is mixed around for that course. So with that, I'm able to gain skills on a few assessments are to do with how to manage some projects, how you're going to manage your teams. And aside from that as well, there's a lot of resources that ServiceNow provides, such as in Now Learning. There's a lot of different courses there, as well as the pathways that you can take. I took a few courses that are called for business process consulting, and that actually helped immensely with being an engagement manager, even though it's a different role, but it does work alongside with learning different avenues that the roles actually do and what they work on. So that has helped a lot. So even with the community, actually, I've genuinely used that during my time here, and seeing a lot of different input from individuals in that community has helped with assisting me on how I'm going to gain certain knowledge, how I'm going to where to find certain resources. So that's what's been helpful for me.
And where do you see your career going from here, Danny?
For me, I hope I see a bright future continuously as an engagement manager. I really enjoy being in the client-facing role and working alongside customers and seeing how ServiceNow just works with these individual different businesses. Some are from metal manufacturing, some are in the healthcare sector. So it's really fun. I'm really enjoying it. So I really hope that it continues because it's quite an exciting space.
It really is, and there's so much to explore, which gets me to my next question for you, Teresa. Where do you see your career going, and what do you feel it's going to take to get there?
Sure. So I want to be a developer and maybe in the future a solutions architect because I do love solving problems. I did tell someone this once. It's I like to be creative, but I don't have a creative bone in my body when it comes to like art and things like that. I couldn't draw a stick figure to save my life, but being able to create, say, a web page or a program or an application just from lines of code, that is my type of creativity, and that's what I absolutely love to do. So that is the path that I want to be on. Hopefully, as I said, as a solutions architect, exactly what that says, to be able to provide solutions for any type of problems or issues or challenges that clients are facing on the ServiceNow platform, or that the ServiceNow platform can provide for them. That they didn't know that they needed it, kind of thing. And to be able to do that, obviously, we've had our year of college and TAFE, which is just sort of the IT basics and fundamentals. But alongside that, as Danny said, we use the Now Learning site quite a lot. One, especially to get our certifications, like our certified system administrator. I'm trying to get the implementation specialist and the applications developer certification, hopefully in the next couple of months. And just the amount of information that is on Now Learning is incredible for anyone to be able to sort of just get started. It's all in very simple language as well, in order for people to be able to understand. So someone that, even though I've dabbled in technology, I don't have that background in studying technology. So sometimes things like when you go to other sites to try and learn things as well, they, I think a lot of them assume that you have prior knowledge or prior experience. So they use a lot of jargon and acronyms, and you're kind of like, I don't understand what's going on. And then half the time you spend, Googling what those things mean in order to understand what's there. But that's not ServiceNow. Now Learning. That is, it's everything there is easy to understand. They've got lots of labs which allow you to have practical experience working the sites. Just allow you to be able to get that practical experience. You're provided with what they call a personal developer instance. So you can play to your heart's content without being afraid of breaking something. So that's always amazing rather than just reading about something. And even now with work, when I'm doing any of the development work, I am working with experienced developers, but they're not always available. So the Now community site is where I go. That's where I live, basically. Just trying to find answers on just how to do simple things. And it is an amazing community with lots of different, and with an answer to pretty much any question you could pose to ServiceNow. So it's amazing. Yeah.
It's a wonderful resource. And when you started answering the question, you talked about creativity, and that's something that I've preached for decades. Is they may call it computer science, but there really is an art, and that's one of the things that I absolutely love about this is you're working both halves of the brain, the logic side and the creativity side, because there's no one right solution for a given outcome, and it really is a very creative process to get there. It's one of the things I absolutely love about building solutions, software development, creating on the ServiceNow platform. It's a great time. And you also touched on something about the learning path, the journey that you take. Once you master the fundamentals, the basics of the system fundamentals and a little bit of development, you can really choose your own adventure at that point. Do I want to branch off into security or operations management or back-end design or front-end implementation? There's so many areas to specialize and explore and become the expert in that area. Danny, you said the same thing. There's a lot of different things you can explore. What are some of the resources that you use, Danny, to keep up with the latest information? We're coming out with a release every 6 months, so there's always that challenge.
Yeah, you're correct. So for me, it's the same thing. Still with ServiceNow, really. ServiceNow, the community, ServiceNow Now Learning, developer sites. That's where I keep myself up to date with things. ServiceNows are always, they always release the new updates and always notify the members when there is one. So that's where I keep myself in tune with what's new, what's next. So yeah, that's where I keep myself updated.
Teresa, you mentioned the community as well. Any additional resources?
Also the documents site as well, which is just all the technical documents on ServiceNow. And I love that it sorts itself into the different releases, because obviously different clients are on different releases. So sometimes you need to know the same thing, but they might be a bit different in each release. So you being able to sort through that technical documentation by release as well has been fantastic too. But as I said, there's really nothing you can not Google on ServiceNow and find on their ServiceNow sites, such as Now Community, Now Learning, or the documents pages, in terms of something that you're trying to find. There's so much information out there. You just need to kind of know what you're looking for. But as long as you know the question, the answers are usually there for you.
And if you're looking for some in-person conferencing or get-togethers, I'm going to throw a couple other resources out there. There are the ServiceNow user groups, our snugs, for in-person get-togethers, presentations, knowledge sharing. It's a great way to get together. Look for those in your area. There's also developer meetups, which is a nice safe haven, no sales pitch, no recruiting, for developers to share ideas. What are you working on? There's the developer portal, developer.servicenow.com. I'd be remiss if I wouldn't be doing my job as a developer advocate if I didn't mention that at least once. So yeah, lots of great resources out there to take advantage of. So I encourage anybody who's watching, anybody who's thinking about this, which leads me to my next question for you, Teresa. What words of wisdom do you have for somebody who's possibly thinking about getting into ServiceNow, or not even from the tech industry, such as you were not too long ago? What words of try that again. What words of wisdom do you have for that?
Very simple. Just do it. It's easy to get into. It's easy to do. And if tech is something that you want to get into, ServiceNow is the absolute perfect place to be in terms of just the variety of roles that you can play, and all the things that you can learn. And it's constant because they're constantly updating their platform. So there's always new things to do and learn with ServiceNow. So yeah, it's simple. Just do it. If it's something that you're interested in, just do it.
And Danny, anything to add to that? Words of experience or something that somebody new to the ecosystem or sitting on the fence wondering if they should or shouldn't?
Yeah, so for me, I really want to, encourage those, especially young people like myself, someone, freshly out of high school, if you're not unsure and you know that your heart's inclined with IT, then like Teresa said, go for it. Don't hold yourself back, no matter your age as well. It's easy to get into, like she said, as long as you have that desire, that motivation to learn new things and be open to learning new things, especially in ServiceNow, then it's 100% the right path to take. And it's a really great opportunity to learn new things because ServiceNow is ever growing. So it's definitely not a place where you're going to get bored too easily. So yeah, that's my words of wisdom, to just go for it. Don't hesitate.
And if the viewer is watching, if you need any more incentive, our ecosystem is hungry for talent. That's where the whole RiseUp program came from, is our customers, our partners were saying, more, we need more, not just more developers, more engagement managers, more process owners, more platform owners, every business analyst, everybody in the ecosystem. We need more of that. Otherwise, we can't move forward. We can't improve. We can't change the way the world works and make it a better world. So thank you both, wonderful ladies. Danny, Teresa, thank you so much for sharing your stories and advice.